Okay, party people, Pleiadians, and today mamas, welcome back as always, grand whatever, party people. We got 30 minutes on the clockina. Again, thank you so much, Joaquina. I have to say that every single time because, I mean, I don't even know where my Apple Watch is, but that's neither here nor there. You know what? I think the angle's actually good. I was gonna change the angle. So, y'all, this one's gonna be a complainer. Did I even press play? Y'all, do you see my energy? Oh my god, it's all over the place. Okay. We're on the floor. The swing is no longer a set. It's two separate body pieces that you can wear as pants and a shirt. Let's get started or whatever. Mosquitoes? The skeeters? Alright. Okay. It is October 20th actually. We just posted the episode Enlightened, but it's gonna be October 27th when I post this. And we'll figure out what this episode is gonna be called, okay? First off, I want to mention that I mixed Topo Chico with pineapple coconut humex. And it is my guilty pleasure right now. My guilty pleasures are getting less guilty. And more pleasurable, actually. Because I used to just drink the pineapple coconut humex. And that was a lot of sugar. And then I would, like, binge on sugar, you know, like have, like, 5 ice creams. I'm not there right now. I'm struggling. So let's talk about that. Let's complain a little because we got a lot to talk about. We got a lot to cover, and we got 30 minutes like always. And I can take longer time if I want. I've got so much to talk about. You know, sometimes I feel like I'm garrulous, which is like chatty for no reason. But you know, I've got a podcast. Being garrulous could also be a benefit in this moment, you know. But I do have information. Why am I so angry? Oh. Alright, let's get into these topics. I know why I'm so angry, okay. Biking withdrawals. So, I actually just satiated my biking withdrawals. Because, like, okay, let's talk about my childhood. So, I had broken my wrist twice. Actually, I'll show y'all. So, I tattooed myself when I was younger. You guys might be able to see the, like, fish tattoo. But I've got that gnarly scar with 18 stitches or something, and I got 6 pins and a metal plate, or 7 pins, I think 6 though, and a metal plate holding my bones in place. And I was not ambidextrous, and I could not juggle precisely, accurately, until after my wrist has healed. Oh, damn, I'm sorry. I'm like looking at all these plants and they're low-key depressed. And, you know, that's neither here nor there. We're about to move back to Houston, so, yeah, they would be depressed. Because aren't we all depressed? Anyway, so biking withdrawals. So when I broke my arm when I was younger, my parents didn't allow me to bike or ride the scooter again because I broke my arm with the scooter. And low-key, I do blame my friends who were there the second time I broke my arm. And, although I don't blame them legitimately, again, I'm complaining today. We'll get to the reasons why I have to complain today. But I'm just trying to release everything because, you know, like, I don't always complain on the podcast. Y'all know this, and I'm not a typical complainer. But I've just been so exhausted that it's time. It's time to burst. It's time to release the air out of my balloon that is screeching. Instead of the screeches, it's and that's okay. Anyway, so when I was younger and I used to bike and my parents didn't let me bike again after I had the physical therapy, I was like, my parents hate me and they don't want to see me happy and they don't want to see me engage with the world and do things that are scary. They don't want me to live my best life. And that was a core wound that I had grown, you know, and I still, to this day, am unpacking it. Because unfortunately, old habits die hard. I'm sorry, I'm typically such an open-minded, optimistic person. I'm very open-minded still, despite where the podcast's energy is today. There was just some reason I needed to film it with this energy, and I know that. Okay, so I would have dreams where I would like mountain bike and do crazy things, and like there's places, wait for me, there's places in Houston that I'm going to be biking in, which is another reason why moving to Houston, at least for the time being, is all right. Why am I making myself talk about this stuff? I wrote down all of the topics, the themes that we're going to talk about in this episode last week. And when I wrote them last week, I was like, I'm not ready to talk about them. But that wasn't in like a painful way or nothing. Oh my god, you know what I just realized? I was supposed to turn the light on. Y'all, it's okay. We got time. I'll turn the light on. Okay, y'all, now that we have a lighting change, we're gonna have more bugs, specifically moths. But we're gonna deal with it. Okay. Why did I make myself talk about these things? Letting go of ghosts. Literally and figuratively. Literally, it's not like I'm letting go of them, but like when I was a child, my great-grandfather had passed away, and I'd always seen ancestor numbers, and I'm so grateful because like for a long time I had hoarded this information to myself because of spiritual people who taught that boundaries meant hiding and being isolating. And it's like, no, share your thoughts with the world. Like, yeah, you can have an amazing thought like Albert Einstein or Charles Darwin and hide it away from the world and push it out into the world because someone else is trying to think about the same stuff as you and you want to say it before someone else does. Yeah, I get that. But if you're just like talking about how you're juggling and you're like hoarding juggling information in your community instead of being like, do you want to learn how to juggle? Shove some balls in their hand and teach them. You can do that with everything. Even if you're Charles Darwin and you have like a thought that is not complete, you can share it with the world, you know? So letting go of ghosts. When I was younger, so much to complain about today, huh, Pleiades? When I was younger, I had my great-grandfather and ancestors visit me, and no one believed me. They were like, you're stupid, you're dumb, that makes no sense. Obviously, I would have been disheartened by that. And to this day, those family members still don't believe in my abilities, but they benefit from them. So it's quite inappropriate and unflattering by any means, because that's why I have to leave this house. That's why I have to begrudgingly go through these next couple of months and end up on the other side. So letting go of ghosts means, now that I'm older, letting my ancestors pass on and move. Now that I'm ready, unfortunately I was just a child, you know, but like, they want to live again. They want to go through life again, and some of them have, like, as bugs and stuff like that. But letting go of ghosts. And there's also other ghosts that I'm letting go of. This was my first year dating. Well, that's not true. This was my first year in hookup culture, and I got my fair share. I got a taste. But I mean, like, I'm still having casual sex. Like, that's neither here nor there. That's another conversation. That's not the conversation we're having right now. The conversation we're having right now is that there are ghosts that are slithering, sneaking their way back in. Attempting to, at least. It's just so funny because some of these people, you know, I had been reaching out to calmly, graciously, carefully, and then they like left me on red, or they pretended like I didn't know what I was talking about, and I was like, yeah, you really think I want your energy? Anyway, they can't stop hitting me up, they can't stop sending me messages, and I knew this was gonna happen. But there's just one ghost. There's just one ghost that I cannot shake off myself. And because of that, he hasn't been coming back around. And maybe I should be more honest about this, but I'm complaining, and you guys know I am as radically honest as I can be, and then I typically get more radically honest as time continues. Anyway, I've been gathering my ancestors. Let's bring them into the podcast today. Ancestors. You got nothing to say? Dee, you got something to say. Dee Dee's on the podcast now. Sorry, why am I sorry? No, it's okay. I'm okay. I'm okay. Anyway, self-dates. I need more of those. That's why I went on a bike ride just now, and I actually saw the guy that sold us the house, which was pretty cool. You know, it's just cool to have like connections and get to know people, but yeah, I need to take myself on self-dates more, and I will shout out Aaliyah for talking about self-dates online on her Instagram story and whatnot, because like I used to talk about self-dates a lot online, and then I started to date. This was years ago, and I mean I still continue to go to self-dates. I went outside a lot alone, and typically like in the beginning of living in Austin I went outside alone a lot, and I met quite a bit of people, but I felt sad, you know, again, reasons to complain, but I don't know, we prevail or whatever. Okay, I guess this is a good place to Moth in face. Moth in face? Moth in face. That sounds like a good band name. Sorry, anyway. Okay, I think going from self-dates to this next topic is a wonderful continuation, and last week when I wrote these things down I was like, how the fuck am I gonna connect those two pieces together? And now I'm looking at it and I'm like, that's how the fuck it continues. Right, because yeah. Because unfortunately, you know, all the threads make more sense in hindsight, and I'm glad I wrote this in hindsight and not foresight, you know, for the future, because like fuck else would I have known. Anyway, there's OCD inside my mental individuated community. So I have a mentally individuated community. This started with when I was like 5 years old. Not seriously 5 years old, but like 5 years old as like a 25-year-old. Like I turned 25 and then I was like, no, I must be 5 years old. And then I was like, I must be 6 and 7 and 8 and all of the ages after and all of the ages before me. And then I was like, oh fuck, and I'm also younger than 5. And then I was like, oh fuck, I'm also older than 25. So I've been pondering upon all of this, but I maintain that I'm 5 years old, because if you act from a younger self, you get to stay younger for a longer period of time. And I'm constantly thinking about the future, which ages me. So I'm like, no, we no longer think about that, you know? I am 25. I will be 26 one day. But right now, I've been enjoying living my 7-year-old, 8-year-old life. And so yeah, there's OCD in every single one of my versions. There's OCD in the versions of myself that are the therapist inside my brain, the doctor, the cleaner. You know, it was the cleaner inside my brain that really recognized where the OCD was and why it came, the root causes of the OCD. And you know, it's interesting, like I was a sociology pre-med student in college, so like of course I would care about STEM and science, like that's what I like. I'm autistic anyway. So being a sociology major, there's like the theory of individuation where you separate parts of yourself, and then as I'm separating the parts of myself, you know, the therapist and the doctor and the steward, like the nurse of a rehab place, and then the nurse looked at the cleaner and was like, cleaner, why are you like this? And then the cleaner responded being like, my mother would always clean my room when it was clean, when I assumed that it was clean. And when it was dirty, she would also clean it. So she taught me that no matter what I do, she's going to clean my room. And when she would clean my room, it would really frustrate me, you know, because it would like change everything, and then my days would get worse, and then she'd get mad at the things that she made worse, you know, and then I couldn't explain this to her because she didn't care about me. So it's like, yeah, maybe I had something in my room that I really needed for school, and then I couldn't bring it, and then I get more pissed off. Or maybe I didn't even need it for school, maybe I wanted it for school, you know? And she's done her fair share of things to heal our past, and she's continuing to do her fair share of things to heal our past. So the OCD goes away, you know, like it's not like I'm allowing the OCD to like lean into it, you know, like I could just clean everything and fix everything in my life in one day, but then there's still OCD in the musician, there's still OCD in the podcaster, there's still OCD in Pleiades. So now the doctor, the therapist, the steward, everything inside of me is like, look, if you can clean for 5 to 10 to 15 minutes a day, you're doing better than you think. And I am doing better than I think. So yeah, that's about my OCD inside my mental. I now want to talk about not anxiety, but also anxiety later. That's next. Right now I want to talk about autism in friendship. And okay, you know, I'm I'm not one to be like, oh, everyone has autism, you know, but now that I kind of look at it, I'm like, oh, maybe everyone does have autism. And maybe because that is the system that we are operating from, and other people want to operate from what they perceive as correct, but no human being has ever said that was... Sorry, the mosquitoes. The skeeters! I'm allergic, so I don't need that energy in my life. Oh, wow, I did kill him, and there's blood on him! Oh my god! Trigger warning. Skip over the next 5 seconds if you don't want to see blood. Look at that! Oh my god. That's my blood! Anyway. Damn, that's like fresh. And the bug is like, it disintegrated or something. I keep checking my mic because I haven't charged it in like 3-4 weeks. Like, the last time I charged it was for Darius's interview, so I'm surprised that they're still charged. And I need to charge them for my interview. We'll get to that. So, autism and friendships, yeah, I'm inclined to believe that everyone is autistic. When I talk to children, I'm like, yeah, that's an autistic motherfucker. And, you know, like, autism is it's an entire conversation. And I've had friends where I've been like, oh, you're doing this because of autism. Not like in a rude way, but like, this helped me, you know? So maybe it'll help you. And yes, like, it damages people initially, but like, I'm going to be there with you. I'm not gonna abandon you, you know? Like, I'm gonna stay, I care. I just care. So, yeah, I find it frustrating because I'll say these things, you know? Again, I'm just complaining. I'll say these things and like I'll express them to my friends and I'll be like, yeah, I do this for my autism, and some, not naming names, some people are like, I have autism too. And I'm like, I never said you didn't have autism, but I am saying I'm going to express how my autism affects me, so maybe you can express how your autism affects you. And because our autism is coming from different socializations, we can uplift each other. But if we're not capable of doing that, then what are we here for? So I wanted to maintain my conversation and the control I have on the conversation of autism, because for the last 5 years, like, while I found out that I've had autism, because I found out I was autistic when I was 20, when we were like deep in the pandemic, 2020, and I just turned 20, and I was doing a lot of research because I felt like I was so not productive, but I had a job, and like I took care of a community, you know, and it's just like, we deserve friendships, we deserve people, we deserve things, another skeeter, we deserve things that uplift us. And maybe that's all I gotta say about that. Anxiety and its root causes. Okay. Again, for some reason I wanted to complain today, and for some reason last week I was like, how am I gonna talk about all this stuff? And I was like, I'll figure it out. For some reason, it'll make sense to me. And then now I'm looking at it and I'm like, wow. And I really wanted to complain, and now here I am complaining, right? Good for me, I guess. But it's not even complaining, right? Because, like, I'm so open-minded and I just want to move forward and progress day by day, you know? Which is why we talk about anxiety and its root causes, because my anxiety has been, like, non-existent ever since I determined its root causes, you know? Like, I thought I just had general anxiety, and that's what everyone told me. Like, every doctor, and I was like, yeah, well, if you're telling me I have general anxiety, then I have general anxiety. But I've unpacked it, and, like, the root cause of my general anxiety has been death anxiety. Like, I've been so scared to die ever since I was a child that, like, I perpetuated my death. I wanted to harm myself starting from 4. My mom, she's got such a whack memory, but you know, she doesn't sit with her memory. She doesn't, like, hoard memory. I hoard memory because I need to. I'm like, I need to remember. I want to remember everything. I must remember everything. So my mom says this didn't happen, but my nervous system remembers, and my nervous system was affected by it. Like, I would say I really wanted to kill myself, just truthfully, you know. Trigger warning, I should have said that, but this entire episode might be just a trigger warning, to be honest. And she would, like, you know, in her early 20s or late 20s, whatever, when she had me, she would sit there and, like, tell the neighbors that nothing was going on, that nothing was wrong. And, you know, right now I specifically feel bad for Otai because I know he's going to be writing an article based off of this, like he always does, which, again, I'm so grateful for. That's such a gracious thing to do. It's very generous. And, sorry I'm so violent. It's just I don't want to have my allergies go off, and I do want to do the podcast right now. But, and honestly, the hands of a killer. So yeah, I don't know why I had death anxiety when I was young. I think I just had, like, no control, you know, like, I was never driving. My family was so uneducated and they weren't getting help from the community, and when people helped us in the community, they asked them to leave us alone. And because I was so heavily sheltered, the death anxiety silenced. And I didn't even realize that the reason I wanted to harm myself was death anxiety, you know? And so, because my death anxiety continued without words, you know, a therapist should have sat with me when I was 4 years old and, like, told me, like, hey, why are you anxious? Like, what is all of this coming from? Why do you want to hurt yourself, you know? And then they could have understood. And we should all be that for each other. We should be more curious with each other. We should be more kind and caring. We should be mothers for everyone, including ourselves. You know, even people who aren't mothers should be mothers. Even mothers should be mothers to their non-children. And I think that would solve a lot of anxieties in this world. If we could all be a little more mothering, you know? But yeah, I'm glad that I don't really have death anxiety anymore. I mean, like, obviously, like, it couldn't come back at any point in time, but I know what to do now. Like, I'll just sit with my ancestors and find some sort of love. I'm so pissed off. I'm so sorry. I keep, like, having a million different thoughts. Right? Like, always, but, like, I'm hoarding all of these bugs on this light right now, unfortunately. My dad used fucking carpet cleaner on the fucking concrete, and if he just, like, asked me again if community was a thing for him, I would have just told him to power wash it. Rent a power washer. Like, oh, dude, I know we're moving, but, like, in your haste, in your urgency, in your emergency, you're making mistakes that are costing you more. Fuck. I'm so pissed off. Yeah, so that's my 4-year-old self and death anxiety, and like I have like what the reason that I remember these memories is because I had death anxiety come up like a couple weeks ago, and I was like sitting with my ancestors, and then they all talked to me, and I was like, oh right, like we all come back, we all come from the source, we all go back, we will be back in whatever form or fashion that looks. We do have only this one life to be ourselves. And who knows what that means, right? Anyway, finally getting to this point, which honestly should have been my first point today. But it's good news. So maybe it's a good thing that I let y'all suffer for the beginning 20 minutes of this episode, 25, and now we're not suffering. Because the reason why we're suffering and complaining is actually because I'm sobering up. And so it's gonna be 72 hours tomorrow morning since I last, not smoked actually. It's been nearly 2 weeks since I last smoked. Tomorrow is going to be 13 days since I last smoked. And then tomorrow is also 3 days, 72 hours since I last did edibles. And when I was doing edibles, I was doing 4,000 milligrams and 1,000 milligrams. Yes, you heard that right, folks. 1 gram and 4 grams of edibles. Comment down below if y'all want to hear more about that. I saw God. Anyway. Okay, so yeah, sobriety's going great. If I might say so myself. And I'm getting better at piano, and I've been singing every single day, which has been like also why I quit weed, because I need my vocal cords to gain some rest and strength and health and immunity. Cause like, I don't know, this is a random thought that I've been having lately, but again, I'm complaining and I'm releasing. So for the sake of sobriety, you know, I've been thinking about like, it's all in your mind, you know, it's all what you can connect with your mind. If you got cut in half right now, your blood vessels are no longer continuing, you know, like you're a whole system. But if you got cut in half, like in a certain way, well, first of all, you could die with your legs gone, and you could also just be passed out until you die, you know. But you could also make it. And sometimes you pass out. But sometimes you don't. Sometimes you can be conscious. And sometimes, like, you know, you're unconscious, but you're still alive, and then people are like, you're probably in a coma, you know, you're like passed out or whatever. Like, there's gonna be a moment where you wake back up. But, and like, what even is a coma, you know? Maybe I should understand that before I talk about this, but I'm thinking about it because, like, I think the conversation is important, and to talk about it, you get to understand life more, even if it isn't accurate. It's like, well, I'm not saying that I'm right. I'm saying mayhaps I'm thinking, and mayhaps you're thinking. But yeah, you know, you could stay awake, and in fact, they tell you to stay awake so you don't go into a coma or you don't like die. And maybe they can induce a coma, you know, and then like reduce the coma or whatever, but like also maybe you just stay alive and you heal, and it's treacherous, but it's life. Just food for thought. Just thought for food. Anyway, album check-in. The band's album is going great, in my humble opinion. I say humble because, well, I mean, I could be saying greater things, but I've been humbled today. There was someone that we had vetted as our bassist, and he was just like, I don't want to be in your band. And I'm grateful, you know, he doesn't have to be in our band, but I'm grateful for the information he gave us. And so yeah, the band's album is going great. My album, not so great, but the thoughts, they're getting better. The ideas, they're getting better. So, I'm gonna just do a couple things right before we go off. So Alan Leonardo's interview is next week after this podcast is posted. I'm going to Houston on Friday before this podcast is posted on the 24th to get my dentist appointment and to feed 2 birds with one hand. No killing birds here with a stone. No. We feed the birds with one hand. Thank you to my environmental science major friends and wastewater and Joaquina. And yeah, I want to say thank you to Alan Leonardo for, first of all, being my friend, for being an amazing human being, for going to high school with me, for being on a phone call with me a couple days ago, for working hard. He's a film director. He's incredibly intelligent and talented, and I am more than excited to be sharing 30 minutes with him. And it's not going to just be 30 minutes. And he's helping me out a lot. Like, in fact, because he's a film director, like, he's going to give me a flash drive with the information of our interview. And I am, again, more than grateful, because this is also his first interview, and I am so, again, undeniably grateful of the fact that we're creating history together. Yeah, I'm super grateful. So, before I say my things to get off the channel, to get off my podcast today, I'm gonna give y'all a couple seconds of me singing for whatever reason. And I'm gonna sing Landslide by Fleetwood Mac. So, took my love, I took it down. I climbed a mountain and I turned around, and I saw my reflection in the snow-covered hills, till the landslide brought me down. Oh, mirror in the sky, what is love? Can the child in my heart rise above? And can I sail through the changing ocean tides? Can I handle the seasons of my life? Well, I've been afraid of changing, 'cause I've built my life around you. But time made you bolder, even children get older, and I'm getting older too. Oh, I'm getting older too. And with that, my loves, you know what I'm about to say? Sing your motherfucking heart out. Make a podcast. Journal, write, become ambidextrous. Drink your favorite guilty pleasure. Scream the Lonely Island songs on full blast, especially Finest Girl, parentheses, Bin Laden song. Full blast again, with your windows open. Irritate your neighbors and your friends. When you need help, ask for it. And don't irritate people on purpose. You're just gonna irritate them by existing. And they're gonna love you for existing, and when they're irritated by you, they're still gonna love you. Because that's what you would do to them. That's what friends do. That's what friends do for each other. So, educate yourself, read a book, brush your teeth, eat healthy, live your very best life, my friends. Thank you for letting me complain. If you stayed here the entire time, leave a comment, leave a like. Until next time. Bye bye!